All right, but our players are ready. We have Paulo Vitor, Damo Rosa playing against Fabrizio Anteri. 1 versus 8 in our top 8 here.
And it looks like Paulo even won the die roll, which I think is a pretty big deal. If he can get out ahead before all of the synergies from the Yorion deck get online, that could be a big deal.
Yeah, Paulo won the die roll known as going 7-0 in the tournament.
Yeah.
See him lead on Breeding Pool for an opt, finds Growth Spiral, kept a land heavy hand with a Shark Typhoon. That's a welcome addition.
Yeah, that Growth Spiral was a huge pickup and definitely the only card he was looking for on that opt for sure. I think he would have bottomed basically any land and kept some spells, but the thing that he wants most is Growth Spiral here.
Couple Triomes for Anteri, not getting anywhere just yet. That's typical of the deck, though, as we see Paulo Growth Spiral to put a Steam Vents on the battlefield. Picks up a Mystical Dispute. Not great, but it is just a cancel. See Temple of Silence as land number 3 for Anteri. Like a land was scryed to the bottom before deploying Charming Prince. That'll scry 2 more.
I don't know how you feel in this scenario if you're Fabrizio, but you know, if I'm playing this Orzhov deck and I'm playing Charming Prince on turn 2 or turn 3 and just like scrying 2, and my opponent's like Gross File into Reclamation to Euro Expansion Explosion on 4 and 5. You know, I am feeling pretty bad about my position if I'm being honest.
Yeah, 2 mana 2/2 Grizzly Bear, not really stacking up to cantrips that accelerate mana. So you see Shark Typhoon is going to make a 2/2. A lot of lands in Paulo's hand just yet, but he does have Expansion Explosion and a good amount of mana. Still has that Mystical Dispute for a spell he actually cares about.
Yeah, and here, like obviously, it's probably not going to counter anything for 1 mana. It may snag a Yorion, but even for 3 mana here, tagging Doom Foretold or even like the Treacherous Blessing is like just fine.
Charming Prince rumbles across. Paulo down to 16. Did shock earlier. Now we see an attempt at a Doom Foretold. Is that worth a Mystical Dispute?
I don't think so. It's literally just, I mean, it's a lot of cards, right? It's discard, draw, lose 2 life, gain 2 life, and make a 2/2. It's 5 things. And now, in this scenario, I don't think that 5 things is worth it. But it feels like it should be, but it's not.
You're looking for at least 6 if you're going to spend your mana leak.
Yeah, no kidding.
But Paulo agrees. The Doom Foretold went off. Whatever. Paulo now has 6 lands on the battlefield and 2 copies of Expansion Explosion. Here comes Yarok's Fenlurker. Paulo going to exile a land. Doesn't need that one so much.
Yeah, now you have to think, well, maybe it was worth it to pass that dispute on, you know?
Attack with the Knight and the Charming Prince. Charming Prince trades with the Shark token.
Would not be surprised to see an Expansion Explosion here, but I think that this requires a counterspell. I think you have to dispute this Treacherous Blessing. Never mind, I was wrong. Card advantage doesn't matter.
The champ disagrees.
I am a relic of the past. Ignore everything I say.
Explosion on Knight token is the line. Finds 2 more lands.
Weird spot. I think I would just play this tapped. You can cycle Triome and cast Dispute. Shocking doesn't hurt that badly because your Electro is not under an immense amount of pressure, but one of the easiest ways for Fabrizio to win this game is to just kind of chip away while presenting too many threats for Paulo to deal with.
Paulo does shock to 10 for land number 7. Back for Anteri. Here's an attack with the Fenlurker. That'll knock Paulo to 9. A Burglar Rat is deployed. Cost Anteri a life. He doesn't care too much about that. He's at 17.
Yeah, while Treacherous Blessing is like really powerful in the draw 3, in the right matchups, Treacherous Blessing is a huge detriment.
Here is another Doom Foretold that resolves. Paulo, no interest in using this mystical dispute.
He's going to go ahead and just blast for 3. He's just going to kill the Fin Lurker and draw 3. Choosing to let another 2/2 be made with a Doom Foretold. Discarding a land.
Picks up Shark Typhoons 1 and 2 off of the explosion into the draw step. Has access to a 6/6 Shark if he wants it. Doesn't need one that big to block these creatures profitably.
Yeah, you can also just make it 1 less and hold up Dispute for a Yorion, which I don't hate. Choosing to take the damage, this is getting really dangerous. Oath of Kaya can just burn you out. You got to be careful.
He goes to 4. That's out of Oath of Kaya range on its own, but there's still 2 creatures on the battlefield.
I think I would have liked to have seen a pretty aggressive Shark Typhoon there to block. But I am not the champ, so I will concede every point. More so making small talk and asking questions.
Here's Kaya Orzhov Usurper. That one resolves. That one Paulo couldn't dispute if he wanted to. Kaya's going to exile some stuff from Paulo's graveyard. Looks like 2 expansions. And the end step is when we see Paulo look at making a Shark token. And the full amount is the answer, 6/6 Shark. Finds Uro off of the cycle, that's pretty nice. Finds a Fabled Passage as well.
I guess that's one reason not to care too much about how low your life total gets, because a single Euro with the current graveyard can literally just gain 6 life immediately and present another blocker. That's what it looks like what he's going to go for. He's going to go and do that so that probably attack the Kaya as well, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that escapes right away. Kaya exiled a little bit of Paulo's graveyard, but not enough to stop this. Finds another mystical dispute. Unfortunately, the only land to put in is catching a Triome, so only 2 mana up. Dispute could only really catch a Yorion right now. Shark will attack down Kaya. And back to Anteri. Pretty full grip, draws up to 7 here. But Paulo back up to 10 life.
Yeah, the being at 10 life is the big deal here. I think that Fabrizio can answer these creatures to an extent quite easily. Glass Casket can take care of one. Oath of Kaya doesn't quite take care of the other, but maybe Yorion plus Glass Casket's enough.
Yorion is the one spell Paulo is equipped to fight over here.
Yeah, Double Dispute tags this quite nicely, and I don't think that Fabrizio is going to expect it either.
It pays for the first one. Paulo actually thinking about whether to play the second one. The first one at least means no more spells are forthcoming.
Interesting. Wow. I guess he just feels like it's enough. Like, the dispute on the second one is just enough. Or the dispute on the next spell or whatever is enough. If he's going to discard it, does he only have 1 island in his deck? Is that what the problem is?
That might be it, actually. I mean, we can reference that pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah, well, he got an island. Or had an island and did not get an island, so.
Well, I mean, it could just be that using the mana on that turn was all the more that he deemed important. Does have 2 really large creatures and another Shark Typhoon left over. Here's an attack from the 6/6 Shark and Uro. Terry looking at some blockers. He is at 16 with that treacherous blessing online.
Yeah, I think Paulo's position here is to just try to get Fabrizio down low enough where he's unable to like actually physically cast any more spells.
There's an opt for Paulo. Finds Wilderness Reclamation. He'll take that one. He's got Castle Vantress there. He's already got the big Shark Typhoon. Not a bad find.
Well, it's certainly a heater. I mean, it's the namesake of the deck for a reason, and when you find it, when you have something like Shark Typhoon, you better start using it.
There's an activation of the Castle Vantress before the untap. Puts 2 lands on the bottom, and now untapping. What is that, 11 of them? 10 of them. Looks like 10 of them. Back over to Anteri. Picks up Basilica Bellhaunt, the largest ravenous rat. Here's a glass casket. I was kind of expecting you to jump on the meme on that one, Todd.
The Glasket?
No, the largest ravenous rat. If I was Basilica Bellhaunt, I would simply eat the other ravenous rats.
Look, buddy, I'm over here doing stuff behind the scenes. Don't pay.
Yeah, instead of your job, which is to identify
I'm literally doing my
memes.
job. I'm trying to do 2 things here, Ryan, and neither of which are being good at Magic.
Bellhaunt will make Paulo discard a land. Here's an attack with Yorion. And Paulo's just taking every hit. He doesn't care. He'll go to 9. He can Shark Typhoon later.
I feel like he's about to Shark Typhoon now, but he didn't. Like, he knows that there's Mortify in the list, and he's trying to basically bait Fabrizio into tapping out, and then he was just going to try to almost kill him, if not actually kill him. But at this point, if he just draws Expansion Explosion, it's going to be game, because the Mortify can cack either the Shark or the Reclamation and can't stop both. So if Paulo just digs for another Expansion Explosion, it could be game over.
Here's a big cycle, big Shark on the way. Mortify is going to take the Shark down. Going to cost Ontario life down to 10. Blast Zone drawn. Now Paulo considering some upkeep scry. Decides against it. Draws Explosion. No need.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and attack with her. Why not? Puts in
if
your
opponent starts playing that fast, there's only 2 options. It's you're dead or they're dead. Or they have nothing.
The game is likely over in some capacity. You cannot assume the turn is interesting. And here is 10 upstairs. Explode your face.
And still has access to about 8 other mana sources.
Not bad, not bad. Paulo Vitor, Damo, Rosa, up a game. Hasn't lost a match yet. Why start now?
Yeah, no kidding. That was really impressive. Considering how low on life he was for the entire game. And then you just realize at any point, it's like, oh, if he just draws a Wilderness Reclamation, the game ends. Or, sorry, if he just draws an Expansion Explosion when he already has the Wilderness Reclamation, the game ends. Like that, that's just dirty, man. And like you're really just seeing the Yorion Orzhov deck does not function on the same wavelength. It tries to hit you with ravenous rats, effectively. I know they're burglar rats or bugler rats, whatever you want to call them. I always called them bugler rats.
Paulo Vitor, Damo, Rosa, of course, the reigning world champion. And I think that a skill that he does better than, I don't know, maybe literally everybody else is just that life total management, the calculation of how much to use his life total as a resource. This was a long time ago. It wasn't like a big match or anything, but Grand Prix Singapore in 2011. I was in attendance. I just walked by Paulo's match. And the first play I ever saw him make in person, his opponent's just casting an Inferno Titan, and without even thinking about it, Paulo just double dismembered it. And I'm really getting those vibes the way he's playing this game. Yeah, I'll take 11. Whatever. I have 20 points. I can take 11.
Not to toot my own horn, but I am a Phyrexian mana aficionado. I know a thing or two about treating your life total like mana.
You've cast some Gitaxian probes in your time?
1 or 2. I was really sad I didn't get to cast it for the 2000th time before it got banned.
That is
I
a
don't even know if
bummer.
that's a lot. Is that even a lot? Is that too much? I don't even know.
It was legal for a long time in a lot of formats.
I might have cast it 1,000 times when it was in standard.
You might have. You play obscene amounts of standard. At least you used to.
And I play it very fast.
Also true.
All right. Well, classic. Turn to Burglar Rat. So the usual everyday business happenings here in standard.
I wonder how many people had to read Burglar Rat this weekend. How many people had to read Yarok's Fenlurker?
I didn't have to read Fenlurker. I knew mostly what it did because every now and then people try to play it in like devotion style strategies.
Right, Anteri's got the curve. Burglar Rat and the Treacherous Blessing. That's all working.
Yep. And the duress here actually going to be looking pretty good over the next few turns. Next turn can also just go duress plus activate Yorion from the companion zone and return that. That'd be kind of nice.
Apollo shocks in land number 3. Ontario get a crack in with the Burglar Rat. See how he spends the rest of his turn 4.
You're really starting to see a flood here from Paulo, but luckily for him, he has no targets for this duress to take.
Swing and a miss. Sometimes that's a great thing. Sometimes it means that you're struggling. We'll see how this plays out from here, but Brazen Borrower and Nightpack Ambusher live to see another day. Yarok's Fenlurker shows up. That's going to exile one of these lands, the Stomping Ground from Paulo's hand. And he's just going to flash in the Borrower. All right, time for some beatdowns.
I don't hate it. I know what he's trying to do, but it's going to really bite him when this Doom Foretold comes down. He's basically going to be stuck in the soft lock for a turn and a half until it eats itself from Paulo not having anything to sacrifice. I don't feel like he can afford to play the Nightpack Ambusher and lose both Borrower and Ambusher over the next few turns. Luckily for him, though, it looks like Fabrizio is just going to go for a Yorion from hand.
That does mean the Brazen Borrower is not a relevant threat.
That's true. And the Nightpack Ambusher, it does make tokens, but I don't know. It's going to be kind of hard to actually apply pressure to the life total here, especially because Fabrizio is about to get another refresh, and Paulo has to discard 2 lands, and he's going to be pretty constricted on mana overall.
Yes, the Ambusher shows up, but we see Anteri gets 2 of those Ravenous Rats effects back. Paulo discards down to 1 land. Treacherous Blessing is going to gas Anteri right back up. Explosion off the top, but Paulo with not much mana to play with.
Yeah. Because he has Blast Zone and Force, he actually can't even cast Explosion for 1, which is kind of brutal. So if a discard effect comes through here in one way or another, it's going to tag him.
Noxious Grasp on the Ambusher.
That's a hot one.
Paulo considering expansion to destroy Yorion.
That's so good.
It is.
So good for him. And
so Ambusher down, Yorion down. Here comes Doom Foretold. That one's going to be a problem.
Yeah, because there's no cards in Paulo's hand, if you're Fabrizio, you are aware that first Doom Foretold eats the Brazen Borrower, and then on your turn you get to eat the Treacherous Blessing, so you stop taking that damage every time you cast a spell. And then on the following turn, Paulo can choose to play another permanent into the Doom Foretold or just let it go off, but that also forces him to play the card from hand. Unluckily for him, he doesn't have a choice here.
Brazen Borrower goes down. Paulo picks up Castle Vantress. He'll play that and pass. Now Anteri will have to sacrifice something to the Doom Foretold. Actually goes for a rat, leaves the Treacherous Blessing in play. He'll scry with a Temple of Silence. We'll take a look at Duress. Yeah, that'll go to the bottom.
I'm guessing he chose that route to just have more juice on the field for Yorion when he got to bring it from the command zone or the companion zone,
The
or the
command
sideboard.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sideboard, I believe, is all it is. A pump on the Fenlurker. Yorion jumps into the hand, an attack for 2. Paulo's now going to do some scrying and finds an Uro. Dispute to the bottom, but Uro can stay on top.
Yeah, and while this Doom Foretold is going to draw a card and gain some life and make a 2/2, there was nothing in hand to discard, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
And here we see the front side of Uro. Finds Steam Vents. So this is not untapped double green.
Yeah,
That's
being
enter tapped.
Yeah, just being slightly off on green mana here. Just, the blast zone was a little awkward earlier alongside the forest for the expansion explosion. Now just only 2 total green sources instead of the required 3. It's a powerful card in the deck, the blast zone, but it does mess up the mana sometimes.
Anteri pretty significantly flooded. This Yorion does represent 3 more cards, though.
That is
an attack into the wolf. The Fenlurker is going to pump 1 time to trade.
Yeah, if you're Paulo, you cannot assume that 6 cards out of the 7 in your opponent's hands are lands. So he goes for the block that actually forces Fabrizio to pay 3 or just lose his Fenlurker. So Fabrizio is able to pay the 3 gladly because it lets him use all his mana, and he has nothing else to do. But unfortunately, that just leaves him in kind of a weird spot. Didn't trade at all.
The Blessing only found 1 spell. It's not a bad one. It's Doom Foretold. That's pretty good at fighting back against this Uro. Found the Triome too, so you can start to get some momentum. Uro comes back for Paulo. Hand now Breeding Pool and its Triome. Put in the pool. Got to decide if he's going to play or cycle the Triome.
Against the Ravenous Rats deck that they just drew 3, 4, 5 cards over the last couple turns, I probably would just play it, honestly.
He's leaving it up to cycle. Now we see Fabrizio to deploy that Doom Foretold. The hand is 6 lands. Yorion attacks Paulo down to 13. Now we'll see him cycle the Triome. Finds a Brazen Borrower.
It might be enough, but it's in a bit of a pickle here. Could just go the full, bounce something, cast Brazen Borrower, sack Brazen Borrower, and then attack with Euro. Bouncing the Treacherous Blessing here actually seems kind of interesting because then the Doom Foretold has to eat the opposing Yorion.
He goes for the Doom Foretold.
Oh.
Petty Theft on Doom Foretold. Trigger still on the stack. Flashes in the Borrower. That will be the sacrifice. Now draws Reclamation. Can't quite cast that one unless this Uro finds an untapped land.
Yup.
Did not. It found an Uro.
Unfortunate brick.
It's at least a card that he could discard if it came to that.
Yeah, but since it replaces itself, it's better to just go ahead and gain the 3 life for free, I think.
Sure. It's still that card if you do that, though.
Right. Yeah, so he's going to decline here.
Steam Vents, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good call.
Here's a cycle of that Triome. Duress joins the party. I guess that has text. Reclamation is in Paulo's hand. At least it was. There is Doom Foretold.
Yeah, now that's going to eat up the Euro for a turn. Also, the Conqueror's Death seems like a nice one to keep. I mean, at this point, you're probably keeping any spell that's not like a Ravenous Rats, but...
Yeah, that one is probably particularly good, though. Uro goes down to the Doom Foretold, and Expansion Explosion off the top. Anteri's at 9. Paulo can't quite get there.
Well,
And
he's at
Anteri will be
15,
going
so
to 11 when the Doom Foretold goes off.
yeah, he's also going to be able to eat his own treacherous blessing. So you can't put him in like the vice or whatever,
Right.
where like you just make it so they can't cast spells anymore.
There goes the blessing. Elspeth conquers Death drawn. And Paulo did not escape an Uro. So if you're Anteri, you got to think about how you want to manage this Elspeth conquers Death.
I mean, there's currently nothing to target, and I don't think that you want to just cast it for nothing. The Doom Foretold is going to make him discard a card, and I don't know, man. I feel like you don't escape the Euro because you just want to wait till after the Doom Foretold goes off. But at the same time, drawing this expansion explosion just completely throws that out the window. You know, he can just blow up this Euron and draw 5 cards. That is a huge deal.
As you would expect, first things first, Paulo's going to take the 4. He goes to 9.
Yeah, but taking the damage doesn't have to explode the Euro. Can actually go face, and if he finds another one off the draw 5, just wins the game on the spot.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. Yeah, 5 upstairs. That ain't bad.
Yeah, I like that a bit better. You just give yourself a window to win the game that could
There
go
it
on for
is.
longer, and yeah, right off the top, found 2 of them.
Twice,
That's
in
a
fact.
GG.
Yeah, respond to this Doom Foretold trigger.
Right. You don't want him to gain the 2 life. You can go ahead and do it.
You can even just like play a land if he gains the life, right? Because it's already won over.
He's casting it. The game is over. It just depends on how he wants to sequence
Right.
it. And
he's going to check all the boxes.
Black-White is not known for their ways to interact with expansion explosion.
No. First one was good. Here's another one. How about that?
And here you're seeing the exact problem, or at least the things that people are not happy with as far as Reclamation gameplay is concerned. Fabrizio cast multiple discard spells this game, but a single expansion explosion off the top in like a 1-2 punch. The first one finds the second one, and there you have it. Paulo Vitor Damo Rosa able to punch his ticket to the top 4 here.
That's going to be an advance to 8-0 for Paulo. Anteri did sneak into the top 8, so he will be qualified for our Season 1 championship. So good work for him today.
Yeah,
for Paulo Vitor Damo Rosa on Team of Reclamation, can anybody stop him?
I don't know that anyone actually can stop him. I mean, he's the world champion for a reason. It's Paulo Vitor Damo Rosa. When I say Magic the Gathering, there's like 5 names that come to the forefront of my mind, and Paulo is in those 5 people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And also, just the way that the metagame's evolving, like Team of Reclamation, a lot of people tried to beat it. And Paulo said, yeah, I just don't think that you can, at least not to the extent where I'm going to move off it. You know, these ban control decks, sure. But with the surgence of these ban control decks, these decks trying to beat Reclamation, this week, a lot of people are trying to beat those decks. And you saw Paulo there. Like you said, sure, you can get to rest, you can discard some cards, but if you find Explosion off the top, that's going to beat any amount of discard.
No, for sure. We have a couple of updates from our back matches. Autumn Burchett wins 2-1 over Brian Kachenka, and was playing Mono Red, which I thought was going to be a bad matchup for Autumn, but ultimately takes that one down. Impressive
I've
stuff.
tried to play Mono Red on the Office standard format. I respect Kachenka for trying. I get beat by everything all the time when I try it, kind of no matter what my configuration, no matter how long. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to crash through some Anaxes and win games that way once Core Set 2021 drops, but I've been fooled more than once already.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 5,763 times. Also, you can't get shamed again.
Being fooled is just a lifestyle. You know, I'm leaning in at this time.
Yeah.
But kind of the way we're set up here, so with our coverage for the online tournaments, we have players enter a Discord channel. They're queued up.